Hey there. So I thought it would be a fun idea today to go through all of my old Kiss albums and pick out my favorite song from back in the day. I'm over at my parents' place. All my old Kiss records are here. And I'm just going to put aside all the politics, all the BS that's going on with whatever Kiss is doing right now. I'm just going to ignore all of that drama and focus on what it was like to be 13, 14, 15 years old and discovering all these albums for the very first time. So let's jump right into it. The very first Kiss album. Pretty good place to start. I have to go with the obvious choice, which is going to be Deuce. There's a million great tracks on here. Well, maybe 10 great tracks on here. But Deuce, I can't deny the power of that. It comes in with that, kind of cool riff that Paul does. And then it kicks into that heavy riff, man. And that's undeniable. Just being a kid and hearing that. They talk about the production being kind of weak on these first three albums, and yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, we'll get to Alive in a couple of minutes here, but it doesn't even matter. Ace's guitar solos on those last two, between the last two verses there, incredible, life-changing stuff, man. So my pick for the first Kiss album is Deuce, and Hotter Than Hell. I love this album. A lot of people don't always give this one a lot of credit, but I think it's amazing. Again, you got the production, sounds a bit weak, sort of like dry, sort of like, clinical, not like the wild, crazy live band that we all, want to hear. Songs in here like Got to Choose. I mean, how the heck did I not pick that one? The guitar solos in there, Going Blind. Gene just gives an incredible performance. Obviously Watching You, and then Strange Ways with that guitar solo at the end, Coming Home, beautiful. But my pick is Mainline. Did I pick Mainline? Yeah, of course I picked Mainline. It's a Peter sung track, and it just makes me feel happy when I hear that song. I remember being, just being a kid, 13, 14, whatever it was when I got this album, and just that song, it was a sunny day. You got your little, it was 1984 or whatever it was when I was listening to it, and got my, Sony Walkman headphones in and walking down, and Mainline comes on. It just seemed to fit that mood perfectly. So that's my pick for Hotter Than Hell, Mainline. And Kiss, Dressed to Kill. I got doubled up on the copies here. This is the one I used to rock back in the day, and this is one that my Auntie Gail gave me for one of my birthdays back in the day. Still sealed. Yeah, I highly doubt it's an original pressing from, the 70s, because I probably got this, 1985 or something. But my pick from Dress to Kill is Come On and Love Me. Again, it's just a brilliant Paul song. One of those Paul songs that just, you can't deny the power and the passion in what he's singing. And the Ace Frehley guitar solo in there is mind-blowing. But I wanted to pick Getaway, and I tried so hard to convince myself that Getaway was my choice from this album, because that's another one of those happy tracks. Just loved it. Another Peter song, but just missed the cut for me on this one. Other amazing tunes on here. Rock Bottom, loved that one. That's about all I got from this one. Those three tracks are pretty much where it begins and ends for me on this one. I say that, but I mean, if I was to put it on, I'm not going to lie, like, I'm making this video, and I haven't listened to most of this stuff in a long time, so I'm going through, I went through, and I did YouTube a couple of the songs from the later albums that I needed to brush up on, but, I'm not going to say I listen to Kiss every day anymore, but I'm going to pause it right here. Peace. So here we have Kiss Alive. Undeniably an amazing record, life-changing record for a lot of people. A lot of people give it shit because, it turns out that a lot of it was overdubbed in the studio and whatever. But again, this was the album. It wasn't my first Kiss album. My first Kiss album I'll get to a little later. The first one that got me into Kiss. But this was the one that I bought secondhand. As you can see, it's all thrashed and whatever. Bought it off some kid that was on my softball team, and in the back, an iconic picture there. For me, it's going to be 100,000 Years. Just that track is amazing, the way the guitar sounds in there, and then of course Peter's drum solo. I mean, you can look at it now as a grown man who's played in bands and stuff, and you can understand why people say, okay, it was kind of basic or whatever. Hearing that at 13 years old, you could tap along to doom doom doom, all that shit, man. That was amazing. So yeah, for me, it's 100,000 Years. I mean, I could have picked any track off of here, but I'm going with that one. And got Kiss Originals, as you can see. Somebody named Renaud is due for an ass kicking 30 years later because he wrote his name on this this album. And of course, I got it secondhand from some dude. And what's even in the middle here? Let's find out together. Nothing too exciting in there. as you can see on the back, it's got the three albums on there, and nothing that was in the original packaging came with it. This is literally all it came with. Couple of records. I picked Strutter off of here, the studio version of Strutter, mainly for Ace Frehley's guitar solos. That plus Deuce are a couple of the reasons I ever picked up a guitar. So now we're going to move on to Destroyer. This was an album, everybody loves this album. It's considered their best album by a lot of people. I was never a huge fan. There wasn't a lot on here for me. I guess because the songs on here, even in the mid 80s when I became a Kiss fan, they were already starting to get played out, you know. So I picked Beth. I just think the way he sings it is pretty incredible. You know, and again, it comes out later, you know, he didn't, he wasn't as involved in the writing process as Kiss would have had us believe, but undeniably a great track, you know. As far as the rest of the tracks on here, God of Thunder, amazing live track, you can't deny that, but the rest of it, I don't really care if I ever hear it again. TBH. Let's see, what do we got here? So we're going to go to Rock and Roll Over. Just a kick-ass album. From top to bottom, this album rocks. I chose, what did I choose? I chose Mr. Speed. That riff, that super retro guitar riff that he plays, Paul plays. Again, a great Paul song. Just the feeling he puts into his singing. But what sells it for me as being my top track off this record is Ace Frehley's guitar solo. Just the way he plays that guitar solo just is mind blowing. His vibrato, his bending, the guy rules, man. You know, undeniable. Backup tracks would have been Making Love, Baby Driver. I mean, it's a kind of, I used to hate that tune, but as years went on, it kind of grew on me, you know. Meet You in the Ladies' Room, whatever. Yeah, great album. Love Gun. Wasn't even a second guess for me. There wasn't even a question. I'm going with Shock Me, Ace Frehley lead guitar. Undeniable, man. Yeah, the guy just kicks ass. First time singing on a record. Of course, by the time I became a Kiss fan, this was well in the can. This was already old news. When I got into Kiss, it was Mark St. John lead guitar, except not really, as we'll get into a little later. So yeah, Shock Me. Could have also gone with, you know, the title track. Could have gone with I Stole Your Love. What an incredible tune. Hooligan. Won't get fooled again. And just take a second to point out, yeah, I'm wearing a Guar shirt. I don't have any Kiss shirts with me. I don't even know if I have a Kiss shirt anymore at all, to be honest with you. I do in storage. I got tons. Used to be a huge Kiss fan. Honestly, up in this attic is just a shit ton of old Kiss stuff, man. Shouldn't say that. But it's true, man. I was a huge Kiss fan. Anyways, here we go. Kiss Alive 2. Let's jump right into it. I have to do it, man. I have to pick Shock Me for 2 in a row. I know that's a controversial move. You guys are sitting there going, what? But yeah, Shock Me. This is the extended version of that classic guitar solo. The bends, the vibrato, just the passion, the structure. I mean, my first Guitar Hero when I was a little kid, I put in Jimi Hendrix smash hits. It was going to say smashes, thrashes, and hits, but no, it comes a little later in this video. But yeah, I mean, I heard that my dad had that record in his collection. I put on Purple Haze. It just blew me away. And all of a sudden, you know, a heavy music fan was born. But fast forward a few years, Ace Frehley's, the way he phrases his guitar solos, it's incredible, man. He doesn't get nearly enough credit. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't finger tap as much, although people say he precluded Eddie Van Halen with the tapping, and I think he did, but he didn't master it. His thing was all about the feel, the technique, and undeniable. So, yeah, so Live 2 is Shock Me, but I'm also going to give a backup. I Stole Your Love would have been my second track. Just the excitement off of this when you hear the, you know, you just picture them coming down these ramps, you know, with the, you know, with all that blast, and you see that for the first time, you hear that for the first time. So I Stole Your Love would be a close second. As far as side 4 with the studio tracks on here, I'm going to pick All American Man. And again, I mean, I had no idea in 1984 that Bob Kulick was actually the wizard behind the guitar on this. Didn't even matter, barely even matters today. I mean, it is what it is. Ace, you should have put down your poker hand if you wanted to be on this album. I love it, man. Heavy riff, heavy solo, everything about it just kicks ass. So All American Man. Here we got some double platinum. Who didn't think this was badass? I mean, it's reflecting. It's probably not even going to show up on the camera, and that just makes it even more mythical. mythical, don't even matter. It kicks ass. Great studio record. Strutter 78 was a great version of an already classic song. But because I didn't pick Love Gun off of the Love Gun studio album, I'm picking that song. I love that song, man. That song takes you on a journey. It's funny because it's such a stupid thing to sing about Love Gun. I mean, what are we talking about here? But for whatever reason, the music that Paul Stanley wrote supersedes the stupidity of whatever he's singing about. You know, it's just a classic song. Then that where's that pentatonic scale of Ace comes in a little towards the end, and again, basic stuff, but the way it's all phrased and structured and put together, and you know, the studio, just amazing. Let's get into the solo albums, shall we? Gene Simmons, wow, what a steaming pile this was. My least favorite of the solo albums. There's nothing on here for me. I remember, you know, buying all these records off some kid in grade 8, and you know, oh wow, look at this, you know, this looks badass. I go put it on my record player, and instant, like, what the hell, do I even like Kiss anymore? Of course the answer is yeah, but yeah, there's nothing on here for me. I put When You Wish Upon a Star because I really wish this album was better. Okay, Peter Criss, we're going to go up a half step. We're going to go from a D to a D sharp here, because at least there's a couple tunes on here that I found something in. Back when I was discovering these albums, I was in stage band and I played saxophone. I was a baritone sax player, and my school band did really well. We won the gold medal a couple of times, like one year, and tied for gold another year, bronze another. That's for the whole country of Canada. So there's like 5 bands playing. I'm just kidding. We're a smaller country. I'm just kidding. I'm messing around here. But anyway, I picked That's the Kind of Sugar Papa Likes. It just, again, these are all sort of weak, like classic rock songs. But that one sort of had a bit of a dark vibe to it, sort of like a, you know, those semitones or whatever in there that I like. Had a guitar solo. Peter, as always, gives a great vocal performance. So I'm going with that. Paul Stanley. This album's awesome. I love it. A lot of people, you know, can't look past how great Ace's is and see Paul's for what it is. But Tonight You Belong to Me is an amazing track. It's my pick for top track off of this album. And it unlike these other ones, it was a difficult choice. There's some really good tunes on here. Wouldn't You Like to Know Me? It's All Right. Hold Me, Touch Me. Goodbye, even. I remember playing Goodbye and thinking of people I wish I could say goodbye to. You know, when you're 13, 14, you don't have that option to say goodbye because you got to go to school with these people. You got to be on a sports team with them. So, yeah, I don't know, whatever. Maybe I'm projecting a bit, but I think I thought that. Here's Ace Frehley. So you got the Kiss. I think the other one had it too. I guess I imported these from Germany. Back in the 80s, these were sort of not always the easiest to find, and I was an avid collector. I had to have these albums, you know. So my pick from the Ace Frehley solo album is Rip It Out. Rip It Out. Again, there's 8 or 9 tracks. However many's on here, looks like 8 tracks, 9 tracks. All of them could have been number one. This is top to bottom, a kick-ass rock and roll record. I chose Rip It Out just because of the excitement factor. It's exciting, man. Just that riff kicks in, the drum, then the riff, and then you go through it, and then the drum solos come in, and each drum fill is more exciting than the last one. Or maybe not, but wow, it just takes you on an emotional journey. Then after that, you kick into that guitar solo. Then Ace Frehley just frickin' rips it on his guitar solo. I even smile at just thinking about being a kid and discovering that for the first time. There's a couple other tracks on here too. The Fractured Mirror, you know, being a young guy, I wanted to learn to play guitar and hearing the way he puts that together. The thing about Ace Frehley is you could be 15 and you could learn his songs, man. You could pick those things up and you could, after, you know, some practice, you could play them. I'm like salivating here. I'm so excited just remembering what it was like to discover that stuff for the first time, you know. So, okay, best of the solo albums. Probably no surprise, I'm going to pick something off of the Ace album, and I'm going to pick Speeding Back to My Baby. Badass riff. I mean, it's that kind of like riff that he always does in his guitar solos, and he actually made it into a riff and made a song around that. That's pretty badass. It's efficient. He's a very efficient guitar player and a great songwriter. A really good songwriter. He's a pretty good songwriter. He's got some good stuff, and that's one of them. So, Speeding Back to My Baby. Kiss Dynasty. You want to talk about an underrated album, an album that Kiss fans are divided on? This is one of them, and I freaking love it, man. It's one of my top favorite Kiss albums. how much of that is going by, nostalgia and, when you heard it for the first time or where you were and how you heard it and this and that. Doesn't even matter, does it? At the same time, isn't that what music's all about? Is the journey it takes us on and how it makes us feel inside, remembering where we were in the summertime, listening to songs like I Was Made for Loving You, and your, baseball team's out waiting for your baseball team to take the field, and you got the headphones on, and, I remember it was 1984 and I just got into Kiss and I bought this album and talking about it and mentioning the song I Was Made for Loving You, and somebody saying, oh, that song's old as dirt. And you were like, oh yeah, okay. So he's like minimizing it. So it was 1985, probably, or 84 when he said that. The song was 5 years old, man. Like, talk about the perspective of like what a 13-year-old has, to think that, 5 years old was ancient, something that your grandpa listened to. But that's how, we all kind of thought of it at the time. I didn't care because, I always liked what I liked. I never really cared what anybody think, which is a good thing if you want to be a Kiss fan. My pick, not even a doubt about it, Save Your Love. I love that song. Nobody ever talks about that song. It's incredible. Ace's riff, the way he sings it, that guitar, and when he goes to that part, he goes, I don't know if I'm camera shy or whatever it is, but it's true or whatever it is. I hope he says, I hope you suffer. And then he does this, rips into this guitar solo. Holy shit, man. Kick-ass album. Unmasked. So we're going to take it down a notch, and we're going to go into Kiss Unmasked. Pretty patchy album. There's a few songs in here. I mean, it's one of those albums that I had a love-hate relationship. I was like, okay, that kind of sucks. You didn't expect much from it, and you weren't disappointed. Torpedo Girl was good. Two Sides of the Coin, I think, was good. Shandy was good. So there's some good tracks on here. For me, I'm going to pick What Makes the World Go Round. It's a Paul song, and I'm picking that because I remember listening to that and just laughing at the song lyrics, man. Some of the lyrics in there, if you listen to them, it just cracked me up, man. I mean, I got nothing against anybody that lives any sort of lifestyle they want to do, and I'm totally for that. In 1985, though, it was pretty hilarious to hear some of those lyrics and think, okay, man, good on you, Paul. Leave it there. My next album here, next album up for bids, is Kiss the Elder, and universally reviled by everybody. You got this big gatefold in there. That's a good thing about records is you get these kind of cool shots in there, and of course, as we know now, it's Paul Stanley's hand there. I liked it. I remember. I guess it's one of those cases of lowered expectations. Where you hear people are going to say, an album sucks, so you pick it up anyway because you're a diehard fan. You got to have them all anyways. So you buy it, you put it on, you're expecting crap, and you're pleasantly surprised. That was my experience with this album. I thought, Paul gets ripped on for using the falsetto a lot in there. I thought it fit the songs, man. I thought the guy has that ability to sing like that. He uses it. He owns it. I thought it was great, man. For my pick off of this album, I am picking Dark Light. Ace Frehley song, probably no surprise there. And again, it's mainly based on how I felt when I heard that guitar solo. When I first heard it, of course, guys like Eddie Van Halen, and it's the 80s, so I was already listening to Slayer. I was already listening to Metallica. So, so I was used to people playing really fast, but it didn't matter. When you get to that thing in Dark Light, the solo in Dark Light, you get to the end of that, it's like, just keeps picking on that one note, then he bends it up like Ace Frehley does, like nobody else. Yep, kick-ass. Dark Light. Second pick would have been Escape from the Island, the instrumental. Kiss Killers. Here we go. Here's an album that's got four studio tracks and then a bunch of songs that were already released. I picked, I was saying to pick something off the new ones. I picked I'm a Legend tonight, just the vibe of it. I could have, for the same reason, I could have picked Nowhere to Run. Yeah, that Paul Stanley vibe, does it like only Paul Stanley can. Good tracks. I'm not going to lie, I've never really listened to that album very much. I bought it to put in my collection, and that's kind of where it began and ended with me. Pardon me for a second while I pretend to sip some coffee out of this vintage R2-D2 ceramic mug that my mom made me when I was 7 years old. Yeah, not going to put any hot coffee in that. That's a vintage piece of art. My mom made me, so happy to still have that. And while I've got you, I'll pretend to take a sip out of this Yoda mug as well. Check that out. That's pretty cool, hey? Lucky I had my mom was so great to have made those for me when I was a little guy. Anyway, back to Kiss. Kiss and Star Wars, man. Those made up my youth, I'll tell you that right now. We got two versions of... Oh, wrong. All right, let's try that again. We got two versions of Creatures of the Night for you here. the classic version, then the version they redid to make some more money. Why can't I get that in focus? Anyways, so yeah, just hold this up. I don't know, maybe I'm just blind. Looks like it's out of focus. But for me, Creatures of the Night, I picked, where did I pick? I Still Love You. Great Paul, powerful ballad. Still rocks. Pretty great tune. Could have picked any track off of here. It's a great album. Not Keep Me Coming, though. I wouldn't have picked that one. I always thought that was kind of stupid. Saint and Sinner, I wasn't a big fan of. I Love It Loud. Amazing track. And, one of my first experiences with Kiss when I became a new fan was seeing on Much Music, as we have up here in Canada, they showed footage of the, I guess it was, as I later found out, Rock in Rio de Janeiro, and just seeing the crowd, the back view of Gene Simmons, and he's doing this, and the crowd just going nuts in front of him. Just, yeah, amazing stuff, But my pick is I Still Love You. Next album is Lick It Up. Still in the package. Back in those days, at this point, I was like buying cassettes. I was like such a collector. I had to buy all the records, but I also would buy the cassettes. So these records barely ever got listened to. So I had everything on record and cassette, and then later CD. I've had them all on CD as well. Lick It Up, still in the package. My review is it kicks ass. An amazing Kiss album. I picked One in a Million, a Million to One, whatever. A Million to One is my pick. It was tough, man. Not for the Innocent, a great track. Young and Wasted. That made me want to become wasted because I was young. And sure enough, yeah, I ended up becoming a full-blown alcoholic. Thanks, Kiss. Just kidding, sort of. Yeah, but All Hell's Breaking Loose, Fits Like a Glove. And On the Eighth Day, love that song, man. This album, incredible, underrated album. Next album, I'll put a picture of it right here. I don't have it in front of me, which sucks because it is literally the album that started it all for me. It was one of those ones. I probably saw the video for, the one with, yeah, where he does that. Anyway, with the drum beat thing, it'll come to me, but whatever. I didn't even really like that song, man. But for whatever reason, just before school started, or school had just started, I had some money to buy a cassette, so I bought the Animalized cassette just randomly because of the cover. It's weird back in those days you bought something because of the cover or whatever reason. And of course, now being an animal rights guy, vegan for life, vegan AF, stop killing animals, guys. It ain't worth the trouble. They deserve to live just like you, me, and your pets. That's a little PSA for you. But had the animal skins on it. I don't know, and they were wearing animal skins at the time. Of course, now it's like stupid as fuck, but whatever. At the time, I thought it was kind of neat. So bought the album. Wow, blown away. And the first song I heard off of it was the first track on the album called I've Had Enough, Into the Fire. Boom. Kiss fan, basically for life. I mean, not a fan of what they're doing now, but just boom, life changed, a million to one. So, Mark St. John, what he's playing in that, the vibe, the Paul Stanley vibe, what he's doing, the fastness of it, the speed, the drumming, the guitar playing. I've Had Enough, Into the Fire is easily my top pick off that album. Could have been Under the Gun too. That was a similar tune. Badass. Asylum, do I have the record? I do. Kiss Asylum. What did I pick off of here? All Night. I picked All Night just because, I don't know, it's like the best of a bad bunch in my opinion. There's some good tracks in here, and I did buy the CD sometime in the last few years. When I put it on, I'm not hating it. Like I put it on, it plays through, and I like it. It takes me back to being 14 or whatever. And but is there really one track on there that I go, yeah, that kicks ass? If there is, it's All Night, and that's a stretch, folks. What do you got? Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits. This is the one where they had Eric Carr singing Beth. It was a controversial move. And I think because of that, even though I was a fan of what we call New Kiss, I became a Kiss fan during the New Kiss era. By that point, I'd already gone back and bought all these records that I just showed you. And I became, wow, the original lineup is the best lineup, even though I loved the Eric Carr, Bruce Kulick lineup. I love that lineup. I saw them live on the Crazy Nights tour for the first time. I'll get to that in a second. But if I had to pick a song out here, I'll just pick, put the X in Sex. Slightly better than You Make Me Rock Hard. Neither of them are that standard of a track, to be honest with you. That brings us to Crazy Nights. Yeah, is there a lot on here? There's some good tunes on here. I like it better than Asylum. I picked the title track, Crazy Crazy Nights. just a fun tune, good vocal performance by Paul. But I could have picked No 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 for the guitar solo. I could have picked Thief in the Night for the vibe, Reason to Live for the vibe. That's a good tune, powerful, positive message. And you know what? We all have a reason to live. I mean, I've gone through points in my life where I felt like, I had no reason to live, and then I have a coffee and everything's okay, But if you're ever struggling, that's a good tune. Just check it out. And yeah, at this point, what do I have here? Hot in the Shade. I never bought that album. I kind of tapped out of Kiss at a certain point. Like I bought Hot in the Shade, but I bought it on cassette. And by that point, I was not the super fan. I reinvigorated with the heavier stuff, the Slayer. I got into Slayer way back in '83. I had their first album when it came out, '84 maybe, early '84. Show No Mercy. I think I got the original vinyl sitting right here somewhere. But yeah, I got into that like right at the beginning of the era. So anyway, I went back and I rediscovered it. There it is. Yep. Show No Mercy, the original vinyl. I've had that since '84, '83, '84, somewhere in there. Anyways, where was I going with that? Anyway, so yeah, I'd kind of tapped out by Hot in the Shade. I still went and saw the concert, had a great time. Hide Your Heart, I'll pick. Just a great Paul song. Ace also did a version later on. Enough said about that one. And also it was the last album that Eric Carr played on, and Eric Carr was amazing. I got to see him in concert a couple of times. Revenge, I'm going to pick Take It Off. Obviously, there's probably better tracks on there, but I remember being, 19 or 18 or however old I was, 20 maybe, going to see that concert and being right up at the front. And that song comes on, and they had these strippers come out, and being that age, oh wow, Kiss with strippers, and the girls are dancing around, and they didn't get naked or anything, but they did some suggestive stuff. So I'm picking that song strictly based on the memory of going to that concert and having a great time. So what we got left? Well, we got a couple other albums here. I've got the Vinnie Vincent Invasion record. I picked Boys Are Gonna Rock. This album is hilarious and awesome at the same time. It's one of those few albums in history, and some of the 6 Feet Under stuff with Chris Barnes also achieves this status for me, where it's awesome and hilarious at the same time. Like, seriously, check this fucking album out, man. Like, there's like a couple of slow tracks on here, and Vinny does not slow down when it comes to guitar solos. Like, yeah, The Boys Are Gonna Rock is my track. I'm just gonna get that out there. Boys Are Gonna Rock. It's the first song on here. Epic riff, and it's got that like just the thing he's doing with his guitar, and then his guitar solo is just stupid, man. Stupid but awesome, right? You're just laughing, but you're laughing and you're headbanging at the same time. And Vinny's one of the few people that can pull that off. And I recommend listening to some of the slower songs on there too, just for that reason. The singer is like, poor singer, man. He's like, he's like singing his heart out. Then the guitar solo comes on. Come on, man. That's awesome. Fraley's Comet. So if you're a Kiss fan in 1987 or whatever this was, yeah, hey, I nailed it, 87. You were waiting for this. You heard it was coming. You're waiting up and, like, how's this new Ace album going to be? And it was awesome, man. It was great. First track on there started off with Rock Soldiers, man. It told you a tale, took you on a journey of his infamous, I'm going to put a meme up here that I made actually referring to that. It was like one of those I don't know memes. Feeling cute, I don't know. So I made a meme of that. I'll put it up here. But anyways, took you on a journey. I remember listening, being so excited. I put it on the turntable, and my parents happened to be sitting there, and my dad's listening. And it gets to the part where he's like, I was drinking and driving, slipping and sliding, or something he says in the song. My dad heard that, and I looked at, oh, geez, what's my dad going to say? And he kind of like, oh, kind of poo-pooed it. I mean, he'd probably been drinking and driving back in his day, and I was drinking and driving in that, in a couple of years. So it's something we all did, and but don't do it now. It was okay when I was young, but if you're young, don't do it now. What was okay for me is not okay for you. I guess I'm finally an old timer, because that's the mentality old timers have always have. Do as I say, not as I do, motherfucker, and that's important. But anyways, Rock Soldiers is my easy pick off of this, but I actually went back and listened to several of the tracks off of here. And I easily could have picked Stranger in a Strange Land, Fractured 2. I mentioned Fractured Mirror earlier. I love that. Instrumental's great. Into the Night, amazing. Into the Night, that's a great track. Breakout, Eric Carr on drums. Amazing. So that's where I'm going to leave it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. I just, Kiss was, I've actually got a couple of 45s here. Oh, wow, look at this. See, this is what kind of fan I was, guys. Well, it shows my name in there. Let me show my name. This is what kind of fan I was. I even ordered 45s. So I've got one with Beth and Hard Luck Woman on the other side. Beth and Hard Luck Woman. That's an interesting combo. Kind of regret taking that off now. I'm going to have to staple that back on there. And I've got another 45. Oh, to Beth and Hard Luck Woman. I'll take Hard Luck Woman. Just because great Peter performance on that one. This one I've got I Was Made for Loving You and Hard Times. I'm going to go with Hard Times on that one. So that's my video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Give me a follow, and I'm going to probably put up more rock stuff on here. Rock isn't dead, man. Nothing's dead if you want it to live, you know. And animals don't want to die. So I know I talked about rock a lot in here, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention veganism. You probably be looking at my hat for the last half hour and thinking this fucking asshole, but you know, I got it's kind of a dichotomy. I've got this Guar shirt where they're all about killing motherfuckers, and I'm all about keeping people alive. So not people can do whatever. It's animals, man. All right, have a great day. Peace out. And just to follow up to that video, I forgot I had these sitting there. Kiss Hotter Than Metal. I think it's basically just side one of Alive that they repackaged in here to make some more money, as you can see on the back there. Yeah, I don't know, so whatever, they were all about making some money, so I'm not even really bothering to pick. Just wanted to show you that one, show you that I have it. It's in the collection. Same with this, pretty much. Kiss live in Japan. I don't know if I've ever even listened to this, to be honest with you. I bought it way back in the day. It's got Gene on the front, some sort of whatever thing that is, and you got Ace on the back, looking all cool in his Dynasty gear. So I guess this was released around 79, probably, or 80. Live in Japan, 1980. It's got the standard tracks you'd expect to hear. Nothing fancy. Never even listened to it, but it's in the collection. Peace. Kiss rules up until they stop ruling. All right, peace.